thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and get started straight away because we have a lot to talk about today. So, okay, as always, thank you for joining. We are recording this session, as you've probably already seen. We are also live streaming. So if you have any issues with Zoom at any point, please go ahead, go to our YouTube channel. You can check out the recording there as well. As always, feel free to say hello in the chat, but please try and keep your questions in the Q&A section. That helps us kind of just keep track of all the questions that are being asked and actually reply in thread so that we can make sure we can get to your answers. Towards the end of the session, we will have an audience Q&A. You will be able to use the reaction button to go in there, click raise your hand, and then we'll be able to invite you on stage to ask your question live. I'm going to slowly pass over this disclaimer as always, and then I'm going to hand it over to Pierre. Yeah, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. This particular channel has been a long time coming, and it's packed with new plans. And we're going to start talking actually about what is probably my second favorite item of this entire meeting, which is that there's going to be a first, and that's going to be the first time we're going to roll it out now today. We're announcing that for the first time in 8 years now, we are going to be changing our pricing structure. The more important bit for everyone that is listening is that pricing structure is available for new customers only, and we'll go back to this a little bit later. And I would like to start by telling you a tale of what it means to be creating Hospitable, then Smart BNB. The first price point, the first pricing of Hospitable was for just offering automated messaging on Airbnb alone. Was a simple $5 per listing per month. And it takes no pricing expert to know that no one, not one person, has taken that deal because it was almost too cheap compared with the competition. And so I needed actually to get Smart BNB then started. I needed to actually increase my rates to $18 for 2 committed properties, 2 committed listings, and starting at $8 for extra additional properties. And my boy, I spent, imagine, months of my life explaining what that meant. Still only for the same feature, always automated messaging. But then something happened. I started to have customers. We started at Smart BNB to have customers. And those customers had plenty of feature requests that we were able to deliver. And so within the first year of operation, beyond the guest messaging, added some teammate messaging, automated reviews, already diving into AI with the first question rules that would allow you to answer to questions such as early check-in or parking, things like that. And obviously starting to offer what would be the fundamentals of the software as it is today, which is the inbox and the calendar. Later, there would be properties as well. It kept expanding, kept getting more complex. So by 2018, we added a verbal integration. We also added a full-blown matrix product that I think is still cherished by the users of that time. Still available for the same price point, $18 for 2 properties, now starting at $8. In 2019, we refactored and rebuilt our entire product with a new user interface and a mobile app. And we added some user management, so making it more convenient for companies, property management companies in particular, to be working with teams. But actually, that works for everyone because you could invite particularly your cleaning team. 2020 was a bit of an odd year for the entire industry. We added a help center and focused on, helping quality of our work in the software development. 2021, so the launch of our official Airbnb integration, of a Booking.com integration, and a bunch of operations that we can do now according to a calendar. And that was the first time since 2016 that we actually changed our pricing for the first time, the price points from $18 for 2 properties to $25 for 2 properties, keeping the same rate for add-on active properties. So if you are a property manager, you're only getting charged for property manager. If you have more than 2 properties, you're only getting charged when there is a check-in at those extra properties. 2022, we saw that it was successful for our business and we're able to invest more back into our customers. And oh boy, we needed the money because that allowed us really to invest capital and resources into direct, which actually started in 2022, and then starting developing as well Smartlocks integration with Schleg through another specific vendor that we shall not be named. In 2023, still at the same price point, I needed to lower the font size so that we can cram everything in. We launched Direct Premium. We launched integration with Google Vacation Tool. We enable search, and obviously a lot of development and feature improvements. And so far in 2024, we've added already Miles, the Google Vacation, sorry, there was a problem there. V2 of Matrix started launching in January, an IoT dashboard with smart devices, which is going to be expanding as we go along. We've had significantly more AI features, and we're going to launch moving forward owner statements. And you see that on the right slide, there are more layers according to with our pricing. So $40 for two properties is a price point that remains stable, with the starting at $8 for add-on active properties. But we need to charge more for direct premium. We need to charge more for smart locks. We are going to need to charge more for smart locks sometime in the future. We're not announcing or talking about that right now. And we launch a priority support, which is again as its own kind of pricing structure. Needless to say, that starts getting more complicated. We're still extremely cheap compared with the competition, and we're still losing deals now because people wonder what's the catch. But at the same time, our pricing structure become too complex, having a lot of nuances and a lot of decisions to be making where it doesn't make any sense. We started with one product, automated messaging for guests across channels. And that product expanded. And that means there was a change of the perspective of what customers are seeing in that product. And it's like those games where you're trying to fit a shape into one. I have a toddler now, so I'm familiar with it. You cannot force customers to get into a particular hole if basically you don't offer exactly what they would like. We have 3 customer archetypes, and we need to have different pricing points, different pricing plans for what they see in our product and what we can do for them. So we are going to change our pricing structure, and we can identify the 3 different archetypes that we have. Start by host, and that is 5 million hosts in the industry who just need to have some software to be running their operation, especially as it's starting to professionalize. The go-to feature here is really that they need a way to synchronize a calendar, synchronize a pricing across multiple channels. But it's not about all the bells and whistles that basically another property management software will be offering. We are not in need at this point of an accounting-based software. It just, I have this problem, fix it, and in a cost-efficient way, because those features, and I agree with it, are rather commodities. Everyone can offer them at a lower price point. It just surprised to me that 8 years into this industry, there are no cheaper and more compelling alternatives. The second person and the second archetype we've learned we're working with are professionals. Again, no bad, it's just a way, like it's probably Apple MacBooks. We could have named Host Air, and this one is professional. It's a good kind of middle category in that they're already well advanced on professionalization. Now it's about gaining in efficiency. I have those properties. I want to make sure they are never going to be unoccupied. And there is a particular, and I'm going to be providing like the highest return with the smallest input on my time that I can have. And that's typically the case of someone that may have 2, 3, or 4 properties or real estate investors that has a job on the side. And that's the overwhelming majority of our customers. And there is a specific need for velocity because those are not going to be, I would say, full-time users of Hospitable that are going to be on the payroll of some company to be looking at our pixels and our user interface. We need to provide benefits really fast. There's a third category, which is what we call the moguls. You really start then having more of an economic or financial profile at this point. It's not about business models, about whether you're a property manager or you're a property owner. It's more about the attitude that you have towards your portfolio. It's not about adding the next one. It's making sure that, your economics sound right and you have the right return on your investment again. There is a particular consideration here about buying a software and identifying a partner that you'll be going on for the longest ride. Imagine a property manager that is currently having 20 clients. They are not going to be planning on changing their software every year or every 2 years because they may have 50, 100 customers by the time that happens. So there is a lot of an attitude onto how you're developing software and how future-proof your product is. So we're identifying, and there are 3 different plans that will be working that are actually live right now since earlier today, that are going to be available again for new customers only, and are going to allow us to streamline the product that is facing each of those archetypes. So we don't add more complexity for everyone, but actually we're going to be able to be competitive for every single persona and be able to offer the features that they're expecting. Starting from host, where this is going to be the features there, we're going to be offering you connectivity to all the OTAs, no restriction on that. We are going to allow you to have a consolidated inbox, a consolidated calendar, and challenge management at a good price point, while at the same time you can start to automate the interactions with your guests as well as your team, with also taking advantage of AI features, and we'll have more on that a little bit later. The professional is the host, everything that the host includes, but we also decided to include direct and include smart locks. If you are an operator that right now is looking for efficiency, you want to have a direct booking website. We've calculated that we can make $178 extra per reservation on average. Our customers have been making $178 per property per month on average, with direct, based on simply the pricing power that you give them. So that's with direct. We also include smart locks that is fully included in the professional rate. Mogul is coming later this quarter, and you can ask Emily about it a little bit later. This is the product that's going to include owner statements and an investor module that's going to allow you to manage all the things that you need to do to have a tax-efficient short-term rental portfolio. So there are different price points that come with those different archetypes. You cannot be cost efficient necessarily at the price point that we have today. So we're actually going to be downgrading our standard rate. You can be a Hospitable customer under the host plan today, starting at $29 with 1 property that's going to be committed, which means that for that property, we're not taking into account seasonal changes. There is an extra property that you can have for an extra $10, and we're going to take into account the seasonality there. This plan is capped at 2 properties. We believe that as you're going to be scaling, you are going to need to have a need for greater efficiency, and it includes, for example, smart lock, and it includes direct. So the professional plan now starts at $59 with 2 properties that are included, that are committed, and then an extra $15 for every property. Do know that it includes all the direct features. It includes as well every smart locks feature. Mogul will be coming Q2. We are going to require a commitment of 3 properties that are going to be not going to be taking into account the seasonality, and $30 for extra properties taking into account the seasonality. So you can have scaling portfolio, and you only charge for the properties that do that are having a check-in. I want to add something. Today, direct pricing, the direct add-on for all legacy customers is basically not reflecting on seasonality. And that's something that we really wanted to add for that price point. It doesn't matter about the feature set you have. Because your business is seasonal, our pricing should be just the same. Now, those are very different price points than what we're experiencing today. And we've done some math. And we are extremely confident that we are providing the most competitive offering for each price point. When you buy a software like Hospitable, you're just not buying exactly the same feature set at another. And that's something that I want to show as a comparison on the table next. This is showing something that any reasonable VC or private equity investor would basically tell me why I'm not raising prices again, far more than what I'm doing today. And then I remember, I own 93% of the company. This company is the only bootstrap company in the space. So we're raising money continually by our customers. And because of that, because we're not working for private equity funds, we actually can be extremely competitive on a price point basis. Those are 3 different hypotheses under the host, under the pro, and under the mogul plan, giving you an idea of what we're expecting. Host with 2 properties, pro with 5 properties, and mogul with 20 properties. Again, mogul will be coming later this quarter. Alternatives, I've taken into account the software that are leading those particular categories. For alternatives, we're a match on the host to the next alternative. For pro, I think we're 50% cheaper. Same for mogul. Those are actually different products that I've basically been comparing with that are more aligned with the type of personas we're having. When you are having Hospitable, And if you want to have the same feature parity with another software, you're going to need to have an AI vendor. We can use Host AI, you can use Betsy AI. That comes at an extra $11, $12 per property. I've added the description of those AI products on top of it. When we develop Direct Premium, we have actually a turnkey solution that includes insurance, that includes guest vetting. This is unlike any other vendor in the industry, which means that you have a turnkey solution. If you would like to reproduce the equivalent, you're going to need to pay an extra $25 or $20, profiting from economies of scale, per reservation. I'm not counting that in the difference because this is relatively too varied, and I didn't go full-blown model. But it means that we are taking product decisions that are there to simplify your life and protect you as a business operator that the market is not necessarily looking at when you're comparing apples to apples, because we're in orange. Smart locks are monetized across all the industry right now. We're probably one of the latest ones to not monetize it yet. And so if you have 5 properties, you're going to need to pay at the most competitive price, $5 per month per property. So you are counting an extra $25 a month or an extra $20 a month. And then if you look at owner statements, I've looked again at the alternatives. Some are bundling it within the product. Some you need to have an add-on. This is basically going to be worth $200 a month if you want to have owner statements. And by owner statements, I'm really talking about the most basic feature set, which is the ability to publish a recap, all your revenue and fees. There is actually no necessarily a guest portal attached to this. And there is not the things that we are capable of doing, which is, for example, the ability to charge the manager and distribute the funds ourselves directly to the owner as an intermediary. Right now, the best state-of-the-art product is about giving you what are the amounts that you need to transfer to each owner. So if you would like to reproduce the same features as what we're having today and what we'll be having pretty much in a few weeks, you need to spend necessarily about 50%, twice more than what you'll be paying Hospitable as a new customer. I see some questions in the chat. Those are our new pricing tiers that are available for new customers that are starting today to be paying customers. So existing customers, we're going to roll that again later. I know that's basically the thing that everyone is looking at. So we're extremely confident about the value that we're offering. And we've realized that if we are 90% cheaper, we end up on that same kind of predicament that I had, especially when we started Expand B&B. People start to wonder what's the catch. And there is no catch. Those are genuine democratic prices to get you to run your short-term rental on Hospitable. What about current customer? First of all, we could not have built that business without you. And so that's why nothing is changing for you today. We are going to be keeping our base rate of $40 plus $8 for scaling properties. You retain a modular pricing. This is not something that we're giving up on. You have the right to pay for what you use. And so therefore, you're going to need to take a decision when you want to pick direct, basic, or premium, and soon when you're going to have to, when we're going to monetize for smart locks as well. You will never be forced to move to the new plans. If you are happy with what you have and happy with the services that are offered, you are not going to be forced to move to anything else. That's a simple rule. We've never forced anything onto existing active customers, and we're not going to be starting today. We're exploring yearly billing options, and that's something that I want to draw attention to, especially on the second point, because every new subscription is under the new plan. So you are all legacy customers. I'm super legacy at this point. And so the biggest risk for you to move to a new plan is if your subscription is canceled. And one of the reasons why the subscription is canceled is, for example, you have not paid for that subscription in time. So I'm into this, our sales team is going to explore having yearly billing options so that you can pay for a year upfront, at least get committed. So we can never, even by accident, even if your card is not working for whatever circumstances, have to force you to a new tier. This is the spirit in which it's meant to be. If not, you can already today, and that's something I strongly invite you to, set up a backup payment method which you can go in your product under your plan. Now, I think that's it. Miles?
Yeah.
Are you still here with me? So that's what we have for you today. And now I'm actually super happy to offer you a next person for AI, which was friend of Hospitable, Moso. He built the goddamn product. He was employee number 2. And as of today, he's actually back to be running all our AI engineering and initiatives. So let me reintroduce you again to the first CTO of Hospitable, now principal engineer focused on AI, Nikita.
Hello, everyone. I've seen a few familiar names in the participants. For example, John Ann. Hello again. So some of you might recognize me for the Clubhouse days. Yeah, I left at some point, and now I'm back. So yeah, let me talk to you today about AI. So first, I want to zoom in and recap what's been happening in AI in general in Hospitable over the last few months. So there's been, first of all, ongoing work all the time regarding personalizing and adding more and more context awareness to all our AI efforts, which means all of the prompts. So everything that the AI does has to know deeply about the property, about the conversation with the guest, and about you as a host. So this is just an ongoing effort, and we put in more and more resources into that. Specific features that we have rolled out over time. So in the inbox, there's the Suggest with AI button. So when there's a blank slate message and there's a conversation so far with the guest, you can have AI generate a message for you based on what it believes would be a nice reply to the guest at that point in time. Again, taking into account full context at that point in time. There's also the Improve with AI feature where you already have a message crafted, but you want to see, okay, what can the AI do with it to make it sound better, improve the tone of voice, personalize it a bit more, and so on. Apart from that, recently we shipped the AI Get Summaries, where information gleaned from reviews that guests have left is kind of summarized in a way that yields interesting insights that you may then use to provide an even more personalized experience to the guests. And something very recent rolled out is being able to reply to guest reviews, again, with the help of AI, where the review received and a reply is generated again by the AI, again, taking into account full context from the conversation, from the reservation, from the property. That is now live right now after a period of testing over the last few weeks. And next, what is currently in development are fully AI-assisted review generations. So you would get, as you would now, reviews generated, but this time with the sprinkling of course, AI on top. So when you would click on this edit button on an available review for a checking out guest, you now get this new screen where multiple variations of tonality are already pre-generated for you by AI, again, personalized with context. And you can choose which one is most appropriate if the pre-selected one is not. You can edit it, of course, as usual, and you can even leave private feedback for that guest along the way. This is currently in internal testing, and we're hoping to roll out beta progressively starting early next week. A few other small notes in terms of recent improvements. So any AI message changes and suggestions are being made in the language that you would understand. There was actually a bug or regression recently there for a brief period of time. Apart from that, very briefly, in the last town hall, we heard you that you want to see the ratings and private feedback from guests. So that is also now live. It's available in the inbox, where you can see the actual star rating as well as any private feedback left. So that's the current state of things with AI at Hospitable. So now let's zoom out because quite honestly, we are just getting started, and we are throwing considerable resources in the coming weeks and months to make Hospitable truly an AI first short-term rental company. So first of all, what's coming in the future? Well, I just mentioned the AI reviews. I'm not going to rehash. That's very soon rolling out. But after that, really, we want to go deep into all things guest experience and inject AI as much as we can. So as an early mock-up, you would be able to toggle AI functionality across the board in guest experience in Hospitable to enable a wide range of changes and suggestions that the AI can make. Like, for example, further personalizations of greetings and signatures across the board. Importantly, if there are any unanswered messages from the guest. For example, you have a scheduled message about check-in instructions coming up, and in the meantime, the guest has asked the question, well, it would be nice if rather than having to either go and manually answer them or having to manually edit the upcoming scheduled message, what if the AI could actually answer it for you, injecting that gracefully into that scheduled message? And that's it. It's all done for you, saving you quite a bit of time. Along with that, obviously, it's simple stuff like grammatical mistakes being corrected, acknowledgements for kids and pets, and a nice to have is obviously welcoming back repeat guests. So you really want to tailor messages rather than sending out the same kind of template that you would have for both new and repeat messages. You want to personalize the content of the message, maybe taking out any instructions or content you have in your template that are redundant for guests that are coming back to you. They already know this. You don't want to sound robotic to them, so the AI can actually help you to change the message in such a way that it just flows more naturally, taking into account that those instructions have already been shared in your previous booking. And yeah, this would, for example, affect upcoming scheduled messages, and always taking into account new context that is being shaped as the conversation progresses. So if you have a scheduled message coming up tomorrow and you have 10 messages along the way, well, ideally, all of that context has been taken into account by the time that scheduled message is coming up. So there is a lot going on here. We're going to be tackling this bit by bit over the coming weeks, and this is super exciting. This is going to be a major change and improvement to guest experience at scale. And after that, really, what that means is that we are approaching the zone of kind of a hands-off AI inbox. So the ideal world that we want to reach is there is enough trust and reputation built for the AI functionality where the inbox basically takes care of itself, apart maybe from some really, truly outlying exceptions. And that would really mean that the AI would need a deep understanding of all the policies that your property has, not just check-in instructions, but pets, fridge, where the key is left, what happens in a tornado warnings, whatever it may be. All of those things might have come up over time in conversations with loads of guests that you've had over the history of hosting. What we can do is use AI to gather all of that and automatically create a knowledge base around each property that has all of those policies already baked in, so that the AI then in the inbox can use that and basically handle, I'm just going to spit out a number, I don't know how accurate that is, but let's say 99% of queries coming in, and the remainder are learned over time. And beyond that, there's obviously a lot of room to use the same sort of AI inspirations for other parts of Hospitable. For example, in operations, you might have the AI proactively suggesting and creating tasks for you based on things that come up in conversations that aren't typically handled with normal scheduled tasks. This is all, so these aren't sort of pipe dream nice to haves. These are on the roadmap and we're working towards. And finally, what I want to mention is what we're, at least for now, internally calling Hospitable Copilot. And what that means is, imagine being able to ask Hospitable itself as a system anything, and not just how can I, or generate a report about X. Those things we understand you would want to do anyway. But imagine if you could do something like increase nightly rates for all of these properties by 10% in this month. Doing this manually, of course, you can go in, you can do it, but this takes time, especially the more properties you have, the longer this is going to take. But if you could just say it either type it out or actually in your microphone, just speak it out loud. And the system understands and knows which properties you're talking about automatically. And by virtue of being deeply integrated with calendars and pricing across all ATAs that the property is on, it goes ahead and just does it magically. This is the sort of wild, magical experience that we want to reach with AI on the system level. Another example would be, for example, sending a message to all, I don't know, your Oklahoma guests or something to make sure that their windows are closed and doors are locked because there's a tornado warning. That's something that you can do kind of just like that as a thought, as an intention. But going in and typing it all out, that takes time. This can be sped up and made more fun, quite frankly, with the use of AI. So this is great for acting in general on a set of properties or set of guests in one go. And the long-term kind of vision that we have is, what if you could just call Hospitable and you talk to a voice that sounds completely human, but is basically an AI-powered system. You talk naturally to it, you ask it questions, and it acts on your behalf just like that, without you having to go in, press any buttons. You just say something and it happens magically. This is our vision. This is what we're working towards. This is what we're throwing more and more and more resources towards. That's it.
Yeah. So we have a very busy roadmap, and thank you, Nick, for coming back. That actually means we have a lot more faith into basically making that happen, because one of the things I should have said when introducing you is that during the past year or so, you've actually been working on an AI startup doing development. And so you're not coming there needing to be trained on what's happening. No, you've actually already been doing that. So we're really extremely confident that we can make it happen. And that's going to have consequences, obviously, on our company. We have seen product. We always wanted to be the AI first product, AI first short-term rental software. And now it's really becoming technically possible. Past the hype, after a phase of consolidation where we know what can realistically happen. So we're going to have AI for everyone, including within our customers. And so that means doubling down on all things AI and having AI for everyone. And unfortunately, it's not been the case so far. So Miles, if you can share over to the next slide. We are currently all new future customers that are on the new pricing tiers, including starting from Host, will have access to those AI-based features. All 8,000 legacy customers that are currently on a $40 base rate are also going to have access, as they have today, access to all those AI features. But there is a bit of a situation that's been developing around the 5,000 super legacy customers that are customers that have been subscribing with us between 2016 and 2022, which so far are, as I've shared the history of pricing earlier, currently have on their $18 and $25 base rate. It's no fault of their own, and to be frank, we actually owe them a lot because we've been supported for years by those 5,000 customers. Now, so far, to get access to a lot of those AI-based features, they need to actually upgrade, because it's not sustainable for us as a business to offer those features, especially when we're talking about guest experience for AI. That's coming really up soon, changing every single schedule message to make it extremely personal to the conversation and to the guest with all the parameters and contacts we can have. And so they were asked to voluntarily upgrade from their $25 a month to $40 a month base rate. Here is what you have as a screenshot of one of those customers to really show you the point. This is not about $40 per property. There is no other change. We actually are going to be asking either an additional $15 per month, or we're asking for an extra $15 per month, or an extra, a bit more, for $18. That's it. There is no other price point change for the add-on properties or for other add-ons like Direct, Premium, or Basic. We believe that this is no longer something that is sustainable because we cannot have two different experiences of our product. One that is going to be AI-driven, AI first, we're going to be investing a lot of resources to create the product that we want, which is every conversation should be personable, should be personal and relatable, but it doesn't mean that there needs to be a human behind the scene as well, and to facilitate all the products and all the features that you're expecting from us at this price point. So this is an early warning. There is nothing changing today, and I'm sharing the timeline later here. Not today, nothing is changing, but in the coming weeks, you're going to be, if you are one of those 5,300 customers that are on that super legacy rate, we'll be sending you an email to tell you that moving forward, we actually will be upgrading you to a $40 base rate. And in exchange, you're going to have all the features that actually are being praised right now in the chat about the fact that you now can have unlimited AI replies and all the AI features that we're developing today and developing in the future. That's obviously what we're going to be investing back to you in terms of product and AI features as well. Basically, the timelines that we have internally is that we're going to send those email notifications starting mid-May, and then by mid-June, the first customers will be paying $40. Obviously, there's no commitment. You're not forced to act on anything. If you want to cancel during the time, no problem, be my guest. And we, for everyone else, will be continuing offering more features and more value for money according to that new price point. Thank you. Direct, is there anything changing on Direct on such a monumental scale?
We have a small announcement to update. It's actually quite exciting though, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah, what we're launching hopefully tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, couldn't get it out the door just before this. Yeah, we've been playing around with it a lot and it's super useful. We're adding a button to a confirmed email, and that allows a customer to manage their stay. That is the inroad into the guest portal. So we can take a look at that. I've got a quick video. Hopefully that plays on loop. But yeah, we're sending out a very simple but very functional guest portal that does a few things. One is which it communicates your address to a confirmed booking, because that doesn't happen unless you're doing that already in your scheduled messages. So that was creating some problems. It communicates the cancellation policy. So they're going to see the consequences of canceling, and they're going to be able to cancel on their own, which is something that has caused quite a few chargebacks actually along the way. Is either the host didn't realize that they were supposed to be canceling on behalf of the guest when it was requested, or the guest couldn't figure out how to cancel. So those two gaps are getting closed tomorrow when this goes live. And then we're going to just keep building on this. So what you get tomorrow is, yeah, house rules, cancellation policies, the ability to cancel, and the address and the map, and yeah, the information, how to contact Hospitable, terms of service, etc. Those are all included in the very early first version of this. But obviously, this is just a green field for us to expand on. So if you look at the next slide, the next steps with this on the improvements. Sorry, video always messes up the slides. Sorry, Miles. Is, yeah, the next version will add the ability to message host. This is something that if you don't have a scheduled message when you accept a new direct booking, your guest has to wait around maybe to the pre-check-in message to be able to talk to you. So that's all obviously, a gap in our platform that we're going to close with this guest portal as well. They're able to talk to us because Hospitable actually messages to make sure that they get their payment confirmation, their confirmation of the booking. But we'll allow them to message from there. We'll then allow them to start requesting alterations. So that's a less labor-intensive issue on your side. They'll be able to look at dates, the financial consequences of downgrading or upgrading the reservation, and then we'll give you the option to deny or approve rather than having to execute that alteration all by yourself. Using Hospitable, we'll put more of that on the guest side and give them more transparency on that so they can see your availability and your prices for changing their reservation. Rental agreements are very, very near on the horizon. And what makes them really exciting, I was on a office hour call yesterday with a power user of Direct, probably closing in on 200 Direct bookings already. And they were talking about the kind of disjointed experience where some of their guests would get confused, have I booked or not yet? Because they insist on a rental agreement, and we have a kind of a separate process on Direct Premium for the guest vetting that happens. And so they finish one process only to start another one. We're going to be able to close that loop and have one singular process for everything you need. That's happening because one, AutoHost is giving us the tools we need, technically an SDK, that'll allow us to integrate all of the guest vetting into the guest portal we just looked at. So it becomes part of that portal. And if you have a rental agreement you want signed, we'll put that in there too. And they'll have to, take a very deliberate action to accept the terms of your rental agreement, your house rules, and sign those in a digital way. So you get all the protections that are important to you. Again, you're also protected by our terms of service already, but a lot of hosts still want these. So we're going to be doing that on our own. So no additional charge to a third party for those. And you'll have rental agreements in the guest vetting flow in your guest portal, which will become more and more your portal. Right now, there's very little branding on it. We tried to keep it as neutral design as possible. It's going to become more and more like your direct booking site. So you're going to be able to put your brand prominently on there, your color scheme. You'll even potentially be able to have your guests log in to view their reservation from your website like they would a flight website. So their reservation ID and their last name, just to validate that, and they'll be able to access from their site. So that way, if they didn't see the emails or they entered their email incorrectly or their phone number as well, they'll be able to recover their reservation from your site by logging in. And there's 15 other directions we can go after that. But upsells, different property amenities, things that you want to talk about as part of that stay. We want this to be kind of home base for their stay. So there's a lot of obviously pre-check-in time where they could be interacting with you, paying for whatever the pool heating fees are or renting your jet skis, whatever those are. We want to give you a nice real estate for the customer to interact with you. And so yeah, V1 goes out hopefully tomorrow, and then we'll be working on it the rest of this year and into the future. But happy to hear your feedback on those. Otherwise, the team is still working on several big projects. So tax filing and remittance, still in progress. Still have a ways to go on that. It is a big project. Payment terms as well. We've got some people out on holiday, but once they're back, we should have that wrapped up pretty soon. And then we want to keep driving GVR performance. So we're going to be looking at, I think we've mentioned these before, the amenities. So we want to give the level of precision and granularity that Google's expecting for amenities, so we can do full filtering on all the different amenities that you have on your property. We want to do the GVR brand still, and there's still a few other performance tweaks that we want to look at to really drive performance for direct booking and keep those $0 lead generation bookings coming.
Alrighty. Hey, everybody. I'm here to give a quick update on sync settings and then share some exciting new apps that have come to our apps page. First, sync settings. We made a small change to this in the past couple of weeks, but before I can kind of talk about that change in a way that makes sense, I feel like I need to give a brief kind of lesson on sync, what it is, and why it's important. So sync settings within Hospitable are at the account level, and they apply to any property that has sync enabled. So this image that you see on the side, this is account level settings, but for each individual property, you can turn it on and off as you please, but it would listen to these settings, if that makes sense. So sync is enabled by default for any property that has more than one listing because you want things to sync across those listings. So I actually saw a question in the chat earlier about does my duplex equal one property or two properties? So that's a good question that I can address here, because properties within Hospitable is basically a collection of listings. So in the case of a duplex, you're renting those out separately. You might have two properties, each with a collection of listings. So sync is enabled by default for any property that has more than one listing. So your property could have Airbnb listing, Vrbo listing, booking.com, and then of course we have our direct booking listing as well. And we have multiple types of syncs, and these can be toggled on and off. So it's important to understand what these are doing as well. The first and most important sync is reservation sync. This is a sync that works within 30 seconds of you getting a reservation on any listing that you have within your property. So if you have an Airbnb listing and you get a reservation there, within 30 seconds, you can expect that reservation to get pulled into Hospitable, and the calendars on your other channels would be blocked in accordance with that, so that we can keep those calendars in line. You cannot turn this off. You can't turn reservation sync off. This is why you buy Hospitable, right? So that the reservation sync works in pretty near real time within 30 seconds. The next three syncs work a little bit differently. And these are all based on your lead listing. So Miles, if you could go to the next slide, I have a picture here of what a property page looks like with all the listings in here. So this particular property has 4 listings: Airbnb, VerboBooking.com, and the Hospitable listing. And every one of your properties has a lead listing defined. In this case, it's Airbnb. So these other syncs, pricing sync, availability sync, and minimum night stay sync, listen to that lead listing. So what that means is that if I make a pricing change on my lead listings calendar, in this case on my Airbnb calendar, Hospitable is going to notice that pricing change on Airbnb, pull that pricing change in, and push it to all of the other listings that you have connected to this particular property. Availability, similar, but with availability. If your lead listing is Airbnb and you block a day on your Airbnb calendar, we're going to pull that in and push it across channels. So pricing, availability, and minimum night stay sync, those are all on about a 4.5-hour kind of recurring sync. So if you make a change on your lead listing sometime within the next 4.5 hours, we'll sync that across to your listings. One important thing to note here is that none of this has to do with changes that you make on your Hospitable calendar, right? Any change you make on your Hospitable calendar, that's going to push out to all platforms regardless of your sync settings. So we would encourage you to kind of consider your Hospitable calendar to be like your home base, like where you're making most of these changes, and then the things will push out accordingly. So on the next screen, the change that we made is actually a change in the default settings. Previously, we used to only have reservation sync on by default, and pricing, availability, and minimum night stay were actually off by default. So we were having customers come to us and saying like, I made a pricing change on my Airbnb calendar and that's not showing up on Verbo. Well, in many cases, that was actually expected because pricing sync wasn't toggled on. And we heard from you guys, and our support team really advocated on your behalf that this is confusing and we need to consider changing this. So for all new users, these are just enabled by default. If you want to make some changes for any reason, you can in theory go in here and toggle these off. We didn't make changes to any of these sync settings for current users. We've had a lot of other feedback about how our sync works and how we're explaining this. So we'll be making some additional improvements, not only in like functionality, but also in understanding like how this looks in the UI and how we're actually explaining it in the copy. So that this can be something that's a little bit easier to grasp, because it's really the foundation of a lot of what we're doing, and it's confusing. So we'll work to make that more clear. Next, we have 4 new apps to announce today, which is super exciting. The first is the HostCo. So the HostCo is a really cool product that allows you to instantly offer hotel-like amenities in your properties with this digital storefront. And you can actually make revenue off of any purchases made on your digital storefront. So if you integrate Hospitable with the HostCo, they will be pulling in your Hospitable properties and like automatically generating a store. You can also add your own specific stuff. So we've heard of a lot of people saying like, my guests really love my mattress and they asked me where I bought it. Well, you can actually add your mattress on your storefront, and if they buy it, that could be like an affiliate link or something, and you could actually potentially make revenue off of that. So the integration with the HostCo is really exciting, and they're populating your property-specific storefront link in the upsell shortcode. So once you configure this integration on our apps page and add that upsell shortcode to your messages, those links will get sent out in your guest messages automatically, and you won't have to touch it from there. Next is Techtape. We have our friend John on the call, so he can wave in the chat or something. You can wave back in a reaction. But one quick thing to note about Techtape. Techtape is a professional services company. So many of our apps are SaaS companies. It's products you buy and you pay monthly for. Techtape is a little bit different. They're professional services providing revenue management for you to drive up your revenue performance. So they've released an integration with Hospitable to give them the information that they need to increase your revenue. So they'll have access to your calendar so they can make those pricing changes for you and whatnot. So excited to have Techtape on board as a new integration option. Next is Crafted Stays. So this is a really exciting product where you can create a direct booking site literally in under 15 minutes. We had a really awesome demo call with the founder of this company, and within 15 minutes, using Hospitable properties, bam, there was a great direct site that was integrated with Hospitable, has custom pages and all that stuff. So if you're looking for another direct booking option, you're welcome to explore that. It's integrated with Hospitable. They'll be using Hospitable's widgets. So any booking made on a Crafted Stays direct booking site will appear as a direct booking in Hospitable. And last but certainly not least is HostKit. This is for all of you hosts who have properties in Portugal. So a little specific. You guys should like react if anybody's here with a property in Portugal. But Portugal has a lot of rules and a lot of reports that they require that their hosts submit. So this helps automate all of those legal and fiscal obligations if you do have a property in Portugal. And they also have some smart lock integrations so that they can withhold smart lock codes until all of this stuff is done by the guest. Again, these are like countrywide requirements that are really complex to understand. So this is helping to automate some of those so that you don't have to deal with all of that nitty-gritty. So those are the apps today. You can find those in the app section of our site. We've got a lot of new categories coming, so you can search by category and find lots and lots of new apps. All right, back to Miles.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Emily. I was going to verbally kind of recap today's call, but I'm very conscious of time. I want to get into some questions because I'm sure there's plenty of attendees who want to ask. So I'm just going to leave that up there whilst we chat through and invite some people on stage. So Dat, I welcome you on stage to ask your question. Hello.
Hello, Dat. I fancy you. Yeah, I fancy that. Oh no, come on. There's plenty of Simpson jokes.
I'm going to click the ask
Can
on
we hear
mute, but that has had a raised hand for a while, so maybe gone off and done something else. So I'm going to come back. Raise your hand again, Dat, if you do want to ask a question. We are now moving on to Emily. Hello, Emily.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about adding owner. I'm a property manager, so I've been doing direct booking on my Hospitable direct site, but I'm having a hard time finding a easy, just a simpler way to add my owner's bank accounts. When I tried to add it the last time, it was wanting me to like log into their bank account to do so. Is there a easier option?
Well, what we normally see when managers will do that is they'll send the link to their owner so they can enter that information themselves. The trick is that those links expire in 15 minutes for security. So you'd have to basically be online with your owner at the same time and say, hey, I'm going to send you a link. There is a path for us to improve that, but we haven't gotten there yet. We could make our own invite links basically to get around that, but we don't have that available today.
Okay. Good to know. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, losing my unmute button there. Perfect. Thank you very much. Now moving on to Jason. Welcome you on stage, Jason. Hi there, Jason.
Hey,
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, thanks for the call. Thanks for all the updates on AI. I think this question's primarily around that and the automation of tasks. Actually, it's why I got on the call to ask for this feature, but it sounds like something like this is coming. So I wanted to clarify a little bit more about what this feature is, what it might look like. For me personally, I imagine I represent a number of people on the call, but I'm basically running this operation myself, and I've got 6 properties I own and manage. And with all the miscellaneous service issues that get communicated from guests, it can be kind of a lot to keep track of. Light bulb this, flickering light there, toilet seat, etc. And I know there's some AI automations out there that don't currently integrate with Hospitable that do in an automated way kind of build a task list based on these conversations and call outs from guests that help us to of course centralize all these things we need to do. So can we talk a little bit about maybe what that looks like, or when you guys expect this to roll out, or just elaborating a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, you communicating how you expect it to work is helping. I don't think we're much farther along than that. I think some of the questions that we've been talking about internally are, I don't think we're going to be making a task on your behalf. We're kind of suggesting things that could be tasks. So yeah, if you've got any kind of strong opinions about how you'd like that to work, this is a great forum to discuss that. I don't think we have a whole lot of time, unfortunately, today. But there's also, yeah, in the product, you're able to give us kind of feedback there as well. But yeah, I think Nick is just getting his feet on the ground with AI at the moment. So I don't know, Nick, do you have comments on
yeah,
how?
so yeah, I would just add a little bit of flavor to that. Yeah, so Jason, like the examples that you raised, like flickering light or like a broken heater or something like that, those are exactly the sort of situations that we're thinking about in this particular context. And the thinking is that the AI here would monitor the conversation with the guest when it sees an opportunity for a maintenance task like that, or like a repair task. It would surface that to you in some relevant fashion, whether that's in the conversation as a notification, something that's not clear to us, but it surfaces to you. And we want to make it easy from there for you to act on it somehow. So it might be initially just the surfacing, but then it might be a one click, okay, add a task for this teammate to actually handle that. And it would just go through Hospitable's native operations task management.
Okay, fantastic. That's actually directly in line with how I kind of envisioned it. So I'll follow up maybe in more detail and just kind of ideate a little bit and elaborate further on kind of how this might be super helpful. But thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jason. We are going to try and stay online for a good 15 minutes extra, by the way, folks. So we are going to get to as many questions as we can today. Inviting on stage now, Hassan. Hello, Hassan. Oh, I'm going to skip to the next person then. We are going to try Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a question I have is as far as like Airbnb, they have like their system, basically they have a setup with the payouts where it automatically sends my commission to my account. And I was wondering if you guys have an integration where we can kind of do that with all the other platforms like booking.com, VRBO, just to make sure payments kind of gets done systematically instead of like me manually having to text a homeowner like from a different platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So you were breaking up a little bit, so I didn't get everything, but it sounds like what you kind of need is owner statements. With owner statements, the way we're thinking about that functionality is allowing you to kind of define like a specific reservation commission agreement at the property level. So what that might look like is you as the property manager can say, for this particular property, I collect 25% of the accommodation and I absorb all the guest fees, for example. So you would be able to kind of set that up within Hospitable, and then we would handle like what the owner is owed versus what you keep, or the inverse, what the owner needs to pay you versus depending on if they receive the payouts or if you receive the payouts.
Right.
So it's definitely something we're thinking of as it relates to owner statements, which again is something that's very much in progress. We're building now and isn't quite ready for you to use yet.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because on Airbnb I get my payouts no problem. But with other platforms, sometimes the homeowners don't pay me, or it's kind of a hassle back and forth. And which would be great if you integrated it, because that was like one of the reasons why I'm on Hospitable, is so I can be multi-channel. That was like one of the main functionalities, plus the AI tool. But thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your question, Nicholas. Okay, moving on. We have Monique. Inviting you on stage, Monique.
Hi, thanks for grabbing me here. I missed the last couple questions, so hopefully this wasn't already asked. But this is kind of following up on what Jason had asked. Great news about Hospitable and everything. It seems like you guys are becoming like a one-stop shop for everything, which is great. I was wondering, kind of following up with tasks, do you guys have anywhere on your roadmap about maybe implementing checklists for cleaners, maintenance tasks like that? Again, following up with what Jason asked, kind of like what maybe, what is it? Clean Stir, is it not Turno? What's the other one with a T? Tidy or whatever. No, Clean Stir and Tidy are the same. But you know what I mean? Like, not Turnos for cars, but yeah, like Clean Stir, Breezeway, resort cleaning. Are you guys planning on maybe implementing that sometime in the future?
So I think over a long enough time frame, we'll give you coffee, but with AI, it's going to be coming much faster. And it's going to be the best coffee ever. I think AI forces us to rethink that what the experience should be when you're having a guest and how you should prepare the property altogether, doubling down really on the ultra personalization. It's basically the rule in that industry. So we've been talking about AI for operations. I know that could work. It goes as simply as starting a checklist in the conversation of things that we need to do or pay attention to or change next time you're looking at a property. And I think over time, we're going to be able to build a feature set where we're building the checklist and we're communicating that all together, provided that we have all the context, and we can generate the context rather well at a certain enough point. So it's not something that we're taking action right now because we're doubling down really first on the guest experience. So everything that we've teased on how to personalize the messages to a level where nobody can think that this was an automated message. I think next is really something I would love to see, which is Copilot. So the ability to ask Hospitable anything, which basically responds to a long tail of feature requests. Like, for example, write me a report of whatever metric according to those properties in that thing. Like, metrics experience is completely changed. Do this change the pricing in such a way across all the properties in Orlando. Prepare a CAN message to all those guests. We'll be able to unlock a lot of features through this Copilot functionality. And then after that, really going deeper onto what we can do with the context that we gather. And that context will need to expand. So I think it's difficult for us to do an AI-driven operations without having access, without being in the room where those conversations are happening. So there are also a lot of features around that. And so we need to facilitate those conversations in a way where we can be listening in a way, right, not to make it creepy, but saying, okay, there is this thing, let's centralize and basically match what it relates with. So there can be the guest experience and operations are basically interconnected. So it's going to be coming at one point. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I just wanted to kind of ask that question to see if maybe it was something that you guys had been planning or was in development or where it was at. But thank you. No, I totally understand what you're saying. It's very AI focused right now and then guest focused next, that's great.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monique, for your question.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to try with Hassan again. Hello, Hassan.
Hello, Hassan.
Hello. Yes. Hi. How you doing, guys?
Fantastic. How about you?
Good. It's beautiful out here in New York. I am new to Airbnb and Hospitable. Actually, I started in Florida. So my question is, I actually signed a contract with one of the management company in Orlando. And for some reason, my listing was deactivated by Airbnb, and I was never informed of that. There was some future, bookings as well, but they're all gone. So when I called them, I found out. Now the thing is, it was being rented through Airbnb, and I could see it on Hospitable that the owner shared with me. I mean, not the owner, the management project, the property management company shared with me the calendar. So there were guests, and I am now, because they just could not list it. The Airbnb asked them for some documentation, which they never provided to them. So that's why the listing was deactivated. So I called Airbnb and they suggested that I should list it by myself. But then the company said, we cannot work with you like that, blah, 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 whatever. So now I had some good ratings. I had, had spent some money. So can I get those reviews or rating into my new listing or no? Is it possible or not?
Hi, Hassan. Jen here on the support team. Ultimately, we may need to look at
Hi,
that
Jen.
listing with you, directly. So if you have it, chat us from your account and we can look at it with you. If it is a brand new listing, as far as I know, Airbnb doesn't let a new host get reviews from another host, right? That's kind of not reviews of you as the host, it's reviews of others. But yeah, chat us directly from your account and we can take a look at that with you directly offline.
Okay, all right, excellent. I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very
And send
much.
us a link to the direct listing too, so we know which one you're talking about.
Okay, I will. I'm driving right
Thanks.
now, so I'll do that maybe later.
Do it later.
do it
Drive
later.
safe, especially in New York.
Yes. All right, thank you. Have a nice day, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jen, for jumping in there. Okay, next up with Kwan, inviting you on stage.
Hello, Kwan. How can we help?
Hi. So I have a question. So I just wanted to add on to Monique's question regarding Hospitable being a one-stop shop. So my question is, will you guys be working on kind of like an internal dynamic pricing integration? So right now I'm using Price Labs, and their fees, I would say my expenses like Hospitable and Price Labs are the two highest that I'm paying right now. So just wondering if you guys are working on that or is it in the pipeline?
We can't do everything, but we, funnily enough, have talked about this. So we're doing an experiment, hopefully towards the end of Q2, to embed other vendors' services, with the idea being that there are kind of basic feature sets that would be beneficial to all our hosts, and that would allow kind of an upgrade path for the best vendor that can provide that service. So we're going to start in like the guest vetting vertical, but we are already talking to people about the dynamic pricing vertical as well. And so the idea would again be, if Price Labs is working with the most, more of our hosts than anyone else, is there some basic feature set that would provide value to, say, 80% of our customers at no additional cost or at a very low cost, and then offer an upgrade path for people that want more advanced features? That is something that we're looking at, but I think Hospitable building its own dynamic pricing solution is not something that we're considering. I think we need to have a little bit of not have too much naivete about what we can bite off. So yeah, we're not considering doing it ourselves, but we might have an embedded solution for you soon that could do a lot of what you want for hopefully no additional cost.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, because I know they use a lot of like AI integration with like Price Labs and stuff. And yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so now inviting on stage another Hassan. Hello, Hassan.
Hello, how's it going? Can you hear me properly?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So I had a question about the insurance side of things for direct bookings. Shout out to Vera, by the way. She basically onboarded us and did such a great job with everything. So I just wanted to shout out to her, and all of y'all are doing a fantastic job with Hospitable. It's actually a pretty awesome company y'all have going here, and I think the sky's the limit with what y'all are doing. So my question to you is, we have 52 properties. 40 of them are active with Hospitable, hoping to get the other 12 on board. So my question with direct booking is, y'all use Superhog and I believe another one, I think it's Safely off the top of my head, and they only offer like structure, liability, and I guess damages. So will y'all ever in the future offer like guest injury type of liability or anything like that?
Yep. And I mean, so Direct, to be clear, isn't working with Safely. And Safely, I believe, does have a personal liability, bodily harm policies that they have. They have different tiers. And yeah, the plan, and it kind of goes back to my answer on the embedded services, like insurance is another embedded service that we'd like to offer. But we're going to start first with the guest vetting side of that. And once as long as that goes well, if we do insurance, then it would give you more choice in what kind of policies you want. We'd like to bring that to Direct as well as to all other OTA bookings as well. So whether it's guest vetting or insurance, we want to be able to let you add that in the moment. So maybe guest vetting, it's, having that kind of sketchy booking where you have that gut feeling that, hey, I want to know more, so I want to order a background check or a credit check or a sex offender check or ID verification. We want to be there in that embedded service to say, oh, I'm just going to make an ad hoc purchase of the service. And then when we start to learn how you use it, we'd like to offer to automate it for you. It could be the same with insurance there. And yeah, Safely is a very popular service with our hosts. So you are able to use them. It's just not the embedded service provided for Direct. And again, I do believe they have a personal liability insurance. So you can look at the App Store and maybe look at working with Safely outside of Direct. I think what Superhog does with Direct is great for catastrophic insurance to your property. So it's a $5 million policy, which is great. But there are lots of other options out there too for different kinds of insurance, whether it's damage deposits, damage waivers. We want to look at all of those too on the Direct side.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you very much, Hassan. And currently there's no one else with a hand raised. I don't know if anyone's seen any Q&A that they want to answer verbally. Anyone on the team? Just double checking. No. Cool. Just going to leave it hanging for a second or two, but I don't think there's anyone interested. I think we've wrapped up everything so nicely there. We don't need to. Just like that. John, give you a chance to come on stage. Hello, John.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to say how excited I am that Nikita is back on board. So really cool to have him back. And I learned that I met 75% of your traveling crew last week. So I was really happy to do that. But I'm really excited about all the future things that that you guys are pushing forward with. This is pretty epic what you announced today. So thanks.
That's it. Hear from you again, John.
John, yeah, thank you, John. We actually have a question for you.
Okay.
Because today is also a big day for you because we're launching finally marketing it now in our app store about the integration with Techtape, or rather Techtape's integration with Hospitable. And so we have a question on the Q&A, which is, how does Techtape work if I already use Price Labs? So in particular, yeah, can you run us through what Techtape is doing, company that you founded? And yeah, just quickly, yeah, go ahead.
So definitely it does, because we use the best-in-class tools like Price Labs or Wheelhouse to provide the revenue management services. And we actually absorb the cost of those services if you work with us as part of our fee. But we would not be able to provide the revenue management services without amazing tools like Hospitable and Price Labs and Wheelhouse. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. It works really well. Does Techtape work with Price Labs? Yes. Okay. So you can, you can get in touch. Petra, you can get in touch with John, with the founder of Techtape, and he's also accumulating miles like absolutely crazy. We're one of the few people, but I think there was like a dozen that were in Canada on Sunday, and then in London on the other day, just basically to go through events and conferences in the industry. So congrats.
I do it just for fun. No. All right. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to hold you guys up. I just wanted to especially just say hi to Nikita, because I missed him after he left.
We missed him too. Now we got him back. So we're not going to scare him too much. But yeah, it's fantastic to, I'm extremely lucky to be in that position when, somebody who's been so instrumental in the company for the first 4 years. I mean, Nikhil, the guy that built the Verbo integration and has basically been recruiting all the engineers that are now in the team. So having your first CTO back and take on a gigantic challenge, that's absolutely amazing. Feels great. Okay, then it was a very big town hall, plenty of subject. It seems like, we've been talking nonstop of 50 minutes. Next town hall, we're gonna be able to talk a little bit more in detail about what our vision is for owner statements. And I have to say, from attending a few meetings, it seems like it's gonna be one of those features where AI could really be used to consolidate the experience. And so really looking forward to making owner statement products. It's going to be AI first, like you type what you want and it's actually going to do it for you. So yeah, there's going to be plenty for us coming soon. Obviously, the rest of AI updates and direct and current connectivity updates for everyone. So yeah, thank you for attending this long town hall. If you have any questions, if there is anything that's not clear, I know we made a lot of announcements. You can go and send me an email on pc@hospitable.com, and I'll be responding that as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and see you same place, same time.